Hello, and welcome to the Paul Bear Bryant Awards Heart of the Game series. I am Andrew Monaco. I'm the voice of the Aggies. And joining me this afternoon is my lovely co host. You might know her from her podcast, The Boss and the Gloss. Hello, Carla Dawson.
Hello, Andrew, and it's so exciting to be here. So, this is the second event of our four-part series of the Heart of the Game series. And in conjunction with the American Heart Association, the Bear Bryant sponsors, you all get an inside look at the lives of coaching legends. And we got a legend for you today.
We have a legend. We are honored and thrilled to have Coach Nick Saban join us today. He is a man of vision with a proven record of championship success. If you say Nick Saban, you must say champion in the same sentence. He returned to the University of Alabama and returned the Crimson Tide to the top of the college football landscape. With his commitment to building the total program, after the victory over Ohio State in the 2021 college football playoff national championship game, Saban topped Paul Bear Bryant's record, winning his seventh national title, the most in the poll era of college football. And this year he was named as the American Heart Association's Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year. Now here to introduce coaches, Zach Daly. Zach is the Director of Business Development at Marathon Oil. He's a member of the Bear Bryant Awards Executive Leadership Team. Welcome, Zach.
Thanks, Andrew. Marathon Oil has been a proud sponsor of the awards for the last 12 years. And being a part of exclusive VIP events like these keeps us coming back year after year. On behalf of the executive leadership team for the awards, thank you, Coach Saban, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this afternoon. We're all honored and excited to be with you. It's moments like these that are extremely meaningful in helping the American Heart Association fulfill their mission to fight heart disease and stroke, the top two causes of death worldwide. Coach, while your leadership and legacy are unquestioned, I truly appreciate what you shared with the audience the night of the awards, the way in which heart disease personally impacted your life. So, in addition to everyone's common love of football, we're all united here this afternoon to support the American Heart Association's continued mission. Without further ado, please give a big virtual round of applause and welcome the 2020 Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year winner, Coach Nick Saban.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much, Coach. We're thrilled that you're here with us and really appreciate this exclusive time that you're giving to us today. It's really, really an honor. And I know you're a busy man, so thank you.
I'm glad to do it. And I go right along with the whole idea of supporting heart and stroke with the American Heart Association, something dear to my heart based on my lifelong experience. So I'm very happy to do it.
Well, we're glad you're here. And I want to thank everyone in advance who submitted questions for Coach Saban ahead of this call. And we're going to do our best to get to everyone that we can. But we're going to start with the man, the myth, the legend right here. So, Coach, growing up, did you always know you wanted to play football? And how about head coaching? Did you know that was in your future as well?
Well, this is an interesting story. I love playing. I played, where I grew up, that's what we did. We played baseball in baseball season, football in football season, basketball in basketball season. Some of us ran track during baseball as well. So we loved playing. We loved competition. That was really the fun of it all. And had a great opportunity to go to college. But I never really ever even considered being a coach. I never thought of myself as a coach growing up, even though my dad, who never went to college, but he coached, Pop Warner football and started Pop Warner football in West Virginia and did a lot of things, to help young people. So I always, had sort of a thought that was a really, really good thing. But I graduated from college. I had no intentions of being a coach. Don James, who was my college coach, actually called me in his office. I played baseball in college as well. And baseball season was ready to start right after we played in the bowl game, the Tangerine Bowl, in 1972, I think. And he said, "I want you to be a graduate assistant." And I said, "Coach, I don't know why I'd be a graduate assistant. I don't want to go to graduate school, and I don't want to be a coach." It doesn't make a lot of sense. But he talked me into it. And the big reason was Miss Terry had another year of school. So I really couldn't go anywhere to take a job. So everything is kind of backwards for me. What I wanted to do leaving college was go to the Norwood Institute, learn how to be a general manager of a car dealership. General Motors. And coach asked me to be a coach. So I was a graduate assistant for 1 year, thinking I'd only do it for 1 year. Miss Terry graduate and would move on and go do something like that. So after I did it for a year, I loved it. So I did it for another year and still loved it. And I've been doing it ever since. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, we got a car dealership coaching for.
Well, there you go. And the rest is history.
Kind of went back.
Coach, I'm not going to skip over the one championship. I've got to ask you about the Monongah High School championship. You started winning early, didn't you? You know all about success. That was back in high school as well, wasn't it?
We had a great group of guys in high school. We won in Pop Warner. We won in baseball. We won just about everything. But it was just, a really good, special group of guys. A lot of good players, a lot of good athletes. Had good coaches, and we were very fortunate to win the state championship my senior year. But championships are meaningful regardless of where you win them and when you win. So I think of that as much as any championship that we ever won in college or any place else. So to that team, to that group, it was special, and it's still special to me today.
Coach, was there anything sweeter than the free pinball at Methy's after wins?
Well, that was the motivation. We could play the pinball machine for free, and we could shoot pool in there for free, but you had to understand something. When we lost, let us in the door. So there was consequences.
Coach, what do you remember about Coach Bryant's teams at Alabama early in your career? And do you see similarities of your coaching as compared to Coach Bryant's?
Well, I think first of all, when I was young, growing up as a kid, I remember Joe Namath. I was a quarterback in high school, and when Joe Namath played at Alabama, and the games weren't on TV then like they are now, but there were some games on TV. So I just happened to see Alabama play, on TV once, and that became kind of my team. Coach Bryant kind of became my coach, but Joe Namath became, my idol as a player. I wore number 12, and that was a big deal. But then when I started coaching, I read Coach Bryant's book. I think it's called I'm Nothing But a Winner or something like that. And I thought it was really interesting, his philosophy about things, the things that he emphasized, the intangibles that he emphasized, work ethic, discipline, ability to persevere, overcome adversity, and some of the ways that he did those things with his players were very, very compelling to me. So I think that reading that book probably had as much of an impact on me as anything, because I never really met Coach Bryant. I never had any chance to spend time with him. But reading that book is where I sort of developed a great admiration for him as a coach.
Nick, you were there at Alabama, so Bear had that culture and the tradition. You have to have your own as well as a head coach, but are you also mindful of Bear and of Gene Stallings and of Coach Perkins and the ones who preceded you?
I don't think there's any question about the fact we would not have the success at Alabama that we've had here if it wasn't for Coach Bryant, Coach Stallings, who established a tradition and a culture and even a standard of expectation, in the people at the university as well as the people who support the program. So without that, we'd have never been able to accomplish any of the things that we were able to accomplish here, because I think, people are attracted to that culture, to that standard, which was established long before we got here. Now, fortunately, we've been able to reestablish it, and I think create a lot of value for, our players who have been in our program in terms of their personal development, academic success that they've had, and the success that we've had on the field. But none of that would have been possible if it wasn't for the culture that was established here by Coach Bryant and Coach Stallings as well.
Coach, this has obviously been a very unique year, to say the least. What things did you and your staff, the things that you had to implement last season to get through this stranger than fiction time, what could you see staying with you as you go forward and hopefully things start to open up and normalize? Anything stick from this strange season?
I think the first thing, and probably the most important thing. And I didn't know that it was going to be that important at the time. But my immediate reaction when we shut down spring practice on March 13th, which was the day we were supposed to start practice and send everybody home, and I told the players, I said, look, there's going to be a lot of disruptions caused by this, and the team that manages and adapts to this the best is the team that's going to have the best chance to be successful in the end. And, you know, that some kind of way resonated with our team, and all the disruptions that we had actually made our team closer. When you talk to our team, when we took away being here in spring practice and all that, and everybody was away and we were doing Zooms and trying to coach, you know, through Zooms, and made our players closer. You know, they communicated with each other more. We didn't have one guy in all the time that we Zoomed ever miss or be late for a Zoom. And, you know, you're talking about over 100 guys, you know, on the team. So, and then when the players came back, you know, it was more like, well, something was taken away from us that we took for granted, but now we have a greater appreciation for it. So we're going to try to do things more correctly. And they did. And the leadership on the team was better, stronger than ever. And the players sort of bought into the principles and value of the organization, you know, better than and stronger than ever. So I actually think it helped our team, which a lot of people looked at it as maybe a negative. It actually helped our team come together, and we had some good players, and they did a good job of persevering a lot of the disruptions and adapting to every circumstance that came our way.
Coach,
Looks like it paid off well.
Understatement, Carla.
Yeah, exactly.
Coach, that applies to the recruiting part as well. Without being in person, you really had to adapt and adjust, which I know is one of your mantras, to that recruiting and really sell the program as well, but in a different fashion, haven't you? Has it affected recruiting? And are there some things you might keep doing because of this going forward?
Well, we had a very successful recruiting year last year, but I think last year's recruiting was different because most of the players that we were recruiting for this last year, we actually had already evaluated, that already been to camp, had already seen them play, because everything sort of happens a year in advance now. I think this year it's even more difficult because the players that we're recruiting now have never been here. They've never been to campus. We haven't seen them. We haven't watched them in their spring practice. They haven't come to our camps because you're a year removed from seeing anyone. So they didn't come to any games in the fall. So it's a little bit more, seems almost a little more abstract this year because you don't have personal relationships that you'd already started a year ago. They just got cut short, where this year they haven't even started in a lot of cases. So this year's evaluation and recruiting and developing relationships is going to be more difficult. But I think we did everything on Zoom that we would do when a guy visited last year in recruiting, and we're going to continue to do that until we can get people to come here and visit ourselves.
Coach, what did you learn about the game of football from your father, Nick Saban Sr., while growing up in West Virginia?
Oh boy, a lot of stuff. He was really big on being the best that you can be. We always talked about it's not about winning or losing the game. It's always about, did you play your best? Did you do your best? Did you prepare the best that you could? Very process oriented, not so much result oriented. And that philosophy has always carried, through, with me. I even say now sometimes, outcomes are a distraction. I want you to focus on what you need to do to get the outcome that you want, rather than the outcome itself. So a lot of the things that he sort of drilled into myself and my sister are things that have stuck with me for a long time. But it was really about if you're the best that you can be at what you try to do, whatever it is you choose to do, then you'll be accomplishing the best you can in your life by doing that. And that's something that's always sort of stuck with me.
Nick, I had a chance to see an interview is for the program Icons. And I loved when you were talking about your parents and the lesson that was learned there, now being a parent myself. When you wanted to be a leader of men, they imposed upon you that you have to have those properties. Was that one of the biggest lessons that they taught you, and has it paid off for you as a head coach?
I don't think there's any question about it. Having good parents who taught good values are all things that we try to reinforce with our players. I tell parents when we recruit players, we're going to be in partnership with you to continue to try to help your son be more successful in life because he was involved in the program, which is I know exactly what you want to be, the best person, the best student, the best player that he can be, and we're going to be in partnership with you to try to help you do that. And I think football, sports in general, anything that you participate in as a competitor, really teaches you a lot of lessons of life. Golf is kind of a metaphor of life. As a game, you hit one good shot and think you got the hole licked, and the next one you hit the sand trap, and the next one you hit over the green, and all of a sudden what you thought was going to turn out to be pretty good turned out to be pretty poor, and the guy that hit it which is all of a sudden hitting on a green and he's beating you. So it's a lot about being able to be where your feet are, focus on the next play. So what's next, and just keep learning from your failures. Don't waste failures, and understand that when you do have success, it's not a continuum, it's momentary. So you have to continue to do the things that helped you be successful, and even in some cases try to find a better way to do them. So these are all lessons, I think, as parents that we'd all like for our children to learn and help them be more successful in their life.
Coach, looking back on your career, there are some players that have been your favorites, and are there some qualities as opposed to just sheer talent that has stood out and really resonated with you?
I love guys that were great competitors. You have a lot of guys that have a lot of ability, a lot of talent. They can run fast, they can jump high, but the guys that are just all tough competitors, that play with tremendous resiliency and are just relentless, and how they compete down in and down out. I have a tremendous respect for guys like that. My daughter Kristen used to get mad when boys would date her when she was in high school, and in college they'd come and ring the doorbell, and I'd start to go answer the door. Everybody would run to beat me to the door. Answer the door. The first thing I'd say, I wouldn't ask the guy what his name was or anything. I'd say, "Where do you play?"
He should be ready for that, honestly.
Everybody would get really mad at me. So it didn't work too well, but I had a tough time beating up to the door. Anyway, so
And Coach, I know our people are asking if you can speak up just a little bit, because they don't want to miss a word. So if you don't mind, that would be great too.
I'll be glad to.
Okay, thank you.
Nick, you heard from
think about talking to those boys at the front door. You're going to talk loud to them.
Nick, we heard from Zach Daly at Marathon Oil earlier. His question is, what do you know now about connecting with the hearts, souls, and minds of young men that you wish you knew during your first year of coaching?
I think the biggest thing probably is the fact that when I first started coaching, I pretty much assumed that everybody wanted to be good and didn't really realize that everybody was a little different in terms of maybe how they did things, how they went about it, what their motivation was, and found out that it really wasn't just because people had ability or talent that they really wanted to be good, that it was actually the human condition to survive and do what you had to do to get by, and maybe just be better than the other guy just so I'd get to play or whatever it might be. And what I found out, through the years is how do you get people from survival mode to wanting to be special, to wanting to be the best that they can be. And I think that's been a real key to our success, and knowing how differently you have to do that with different personality types, and different, kinds of players that come from different backgrounds and how they've been motivated in the past. So I think that's probably the biggest difference that I would say. I wish I would have known enough to make it about them. And when I say that, is I think that everybody's a little self-absorbed, and the more you make it about the player and how what he does affects him and his ability to be successful in the future, even though it's a team sport, the individuals make the team what it is. That's going to motivate that guy more than just saying, hey, this is a part of our team. This is what's required. This is what the expectation is for you to be a part of the team. You can't really do that and be a part of the team. I don't think people relate to that very well. They do relate to how it impacts them. I mean, that's what being self-absorbed is. How does this affect me? And I think when I first started coaching, I didn't have any realization of that at all.
Well, you've certainly got it now in droves, that's for sure, and everybody else wants it. So Bryant at Weaver asks, at this stage of your career, given all that you've accomplished and all the changes that you've had to adapt to over that whole period, what is it that keeps you motivated and operating with such a high level of dedication?
Well, I think, first of all, I look at coaching and I look at our team every year, and I evaluate myself and my performance, not on whether we won the championship or we went 11-2 or whatever the circumstances are. I sort of evaluate it on, did you get the people in the organization, the players on the team, to actually play to the best of their ability, play together as a group, everybody reach their full potential, have positive energy about how they did it. They taught them to be responsible for their own self-determination, and they had the intangible work ethic and so forth to actually be able to get to where they could be the best player that they could be. So I kind of evaluate it based on that. And sometimes when we win, I don't think I did a very good job of that. And sometimes we've not had success, and I thought we played about as well as we could. So I see every year as a new challenge when it comes to that. You have a different team, you lose 25% of your team. So new roles for players on teams, new leadership. It's just so different every year. Somebody said, well, you stayed at Alabama for 14 years now. This is the 15th year coming up, but you moved around a lot early on. I used to move around because I wanted a new challenge. What I figured out when I came here is I have a new challenge every year. This is like, taking over a new program every year in terms of the challenges that you have developing a new team. So I guess that keeps me motivated. I'd say the other thing is I hate to lose. I hated to lose when I played. I hate to lose now, whether I'm playing cards, golf, it doesn't matter. So I hate to lose. And so that's always a motivating factor.
Nick, Kevin Cantrell at Plains All-American asks, Coach Bryant built a dynasty. Now you've done the same at Alabama. Why do you suppose other coaches have not been able to emulate it with the same consistency year in and year out?
I don't know what Coach Bryant would say, and I can't really speak for the other coaches in terms of how they've done what they've done, good or bad. But we've had a lot of really, really good players here. We've had a lot of really good coaches. We've had a lot of really good people in our organization. We've had great support in the university community. We've had great support from our administration. And I don't think that's true everywhere. So you assume that everybody has an equal opportunity. I'm not sure that's true. But we've had every opportunity here that you could ever ask for to be successful. And I think we've taken advantage of that in terms of how we create value for players, the culture that we develop here and helping people be successful. And I think that that's what helps us sort of continue to have success. And I can't speak for anybody else or anything else or what someone else's circumstance was at their school, but we've had every opportunity to be successful here based on the tradition, the support from our administration, our athletic department, the people and the quality of people that we've had in the organization. I just been fortunate to have the opportunity to drive the bus, but we've had really good people on the bus.
So Jason from Marathon Oil wants to know what you think can be done to make college football have more overall competitiveness and more parity between the teams.
Interesting question. I really do think that if we played like the 5 power conferences, just played the 5 power conferences, and I know that that would not be good for smaller schools, on AA schools, some of the schools that we play, because they count on those paydays, whatever you want to call it, so that they can sustain their programs. But I do think there would be more competitive games. I think there would be more players more interested in more different programs. But I think, we kind of live in a culture, in a world right now, whether it's in professional sports where, 3 or 4 players in the NBA that are all stars want to play on the same team, so they have a chance to win a championship. And, you've got 4 or 5 teams in college football that players are more interested in because they've had a tradition of being successful. I don't necessarily think that's good for parity. I think the NFL's got it right in what they do with the salary cap. If you win more games, you play a tougher schedule the next year. If you win more games, you draft later. So the rules are all set up for parity. And as much as we try to do in college football to make the rules sort of be set up for parity, the more successful programs probably have the opportunity to be more successful. And I don't really know how you change that.
Angie from KPMG says, one person who I know you credit for much of the success in the Alabama program is the role that your wife, Miss Terry, plays. Can you talk a little bit more about how her role and her involvement in the program has evolved over time?
Well, I mean, she is the head coach. But I think that she's been a great partner. We couldn't have a better partner to sort of have a chance to be successful. She's always pitched in and bought into doing whatever it is to help the program be successful, to help the community, in every way. She does a great job of recruiting, developing relationships with players and parents. What she does with Nick's kids and how we sort of give back to the community. We're going to build our 18th house for people. We built one for the national championship that Alabama has. We'll be doing that this spring. I think it has a positive impact on players learning how to give back to the community. A lot of her efforts when we won the Community Service Award in 2011 when we had the tornado here, got our players involved in the community and helping people that needed help. And she just always has a presence. And I think sometimes, people don't understand. They say, well, something happened and I really can't do anything to help. Well, sometimes just being there is very, very helpful. And she has always been there for me in every regard. And she's always been there for the program, the university, the athletic department, in every way that she can. So she's been a great partner in this and is very instrumental in the success that we've had through the years.
And you know what they say, behind every amazing man is an amazing woman, and you've got yourself one in Miss Terry. That's pretty great.
No question.
And so Tyler at Stream Realty Partners wants to know, in past interviews and press conferences, you've talked a lot about complacency being one of the biggest challenges to continued excellence in winning. How do you battle or avoid the creep of complacency in your organization?
Well, I think that's one of the most difficult challenges that we have. And it goes back to that whole human nature, human thing that And when people have success, they have a tendency to get satisfied. And the culture of our society kind of reinforces that. You know, you always get rewarded. I mean, even if it's your job and you're supposed to sell 10 cars this much and you sell 10 cars, or you're the leading salesman, you get to go to Aruba for a week or whatever. I mean, we kind of promote that in everything that we do. So I think that complacency creates a blatant disregard for doing what's right. And I think if you're going to continue to be successful, you need to continue to do things the right way, but you also need to continue to find out, is there a better way? Because all you've done when you have success is become the target for everybody else that you're in competition with. And it doesn't matter if it's football, business, or whatever it is. So if you're complacent and you don't continue to improve and continue to do the things that made you successful to start with, somebody is going to pass you up. And you have to just have a good understanding of that and know that you become the target. It's like we're going to be, everybody's got our game circled next year. If they can beat us, that's going to make their season. So you got to understand that. That's going to be a challenge for you to be your best, and you can't be satisfied or complacent with, you know, what was accomplished this year, because it's not going to help us next year. It's actually just puts a target on our back. So that's how we you know, get guys to understand what we did last year is not going to create value for you this year. And it sinks in with some guys not so much. So it is the biggest challenge that we deal with.
Nick, Andrew at Hess asks, what's one of the greatest compliments you've received from a player about your coaching?
The thing that makes me feel best is when a guy comes back after he hasn't been around for a while and says, Coach, you helped me become a better man. You helped me be a better parent. You helped me be a better father. I think that means more than just about anything, you know, to me, because the whole goal of the program is to help people be more successful in life. And I think those kind of things really determine, you know, how successful you are, not just how much money you make or what kind of job you get or how professionally successful you are. So that's probably the thing that I like hearing the most, you know, from the players.
Coach is a powerful word, right? When you're called coach, even 10, 20, 30 years down the line, you see the families grow up, you see the young men that they become. When they call you coach, there's a lot more than just head coach player, right? You've seen so much development, haven't you, through the years?
Well, you know, coach means a lot of things, but I think it's one of the greatest professions in the world because, you know, we have a unique opportunity because most of the guys that we deal with, they really want to play. They enjoy playing. They want to be good. But you can use that sort of motivation that they have to be good as a player and actually transfer it into other parts of their life and get them to understand that this is what it takes to be successful. You're not going to play forever. You know, you're going to college to prepare yourself for the day you can't play. And you don't want to give anybody a reason to say but about who you are, what you do as a person, and how you play. It's much better when they say and. They describe you as a player and they say, and you're a good guy, and you're a good person, and you're a leader, and you graduated from school, and the coaches loved you, and you were a leader on a team. When they start saying but, usually not good after but. So, you know, and because the players want to be good in football, we can help them sort of modify their behavior, edit their behavior, however you want to say it, in other areas of their life to help them be successful. And I think that's really an important part of coaching that makes it a great profession.
Brian Barr at Brassfield and Gorey asks, who were some of your key mentors and close friends while you were growing up?
I had great parents, number one. Number two, my high school coaches probably were very influential on continued developing what it took to be successful. Don James, probably my college coach, had the greatest impact, you know, on me of any anyone. I think because he was very similar in philosophy in terms of it was important for you to be a good person. It was important for you to do well in school. It was important for you to be the best kind of player, best you could be as a football player. And all the stories that he told and motivational talks that he gave were all things that had something to do with life as much as they did with, winning the game. So that had a tremendous impact on me. And then having the opportunity to work for him for a couple of years, there's still a lot of organizational things that he did that we do here and still use. And in fact, the last time I talked to him when he was ready to pass away and he was in the hospital, and he was well into his 80s, it was a Monday, and we used to do progressives when I was a player, which means you run up 10, back 20, up 30, kind of like gassers in basketball. And I said, Coach, you'd be happy to know that it's Monday. We're having Monday practice today, and we'll be running progressives after practice, and we got a big kick on that. So, but he is one, and then I've had some great mentors. I think everybody's a mentor for you in a good way or a bad way. Bill Belichick obviously was, a great mentor when it came to organization, having the opportunity to work with him. George Perlis was a great mentor who was with Chuck Noll for a long time, who was very successful. So, and then I've had a few that you learn some good things from, and you learn some things that maybe you would rather not do it that way. So, but I think I've had everyone that I've ever worked for. I've had the opportunity to learn from and grow from.
Carla, is this where I tell Coach that you were nervous before we started this?
You're not supposed to tell him
Yeah,
that.
because she was nervous because she's talking to a legend, the GOAT. Are you comfortable with the GOAT reference, by the way, the greatest of all time now after that championship?
I really am not, because I don't think that's fair to a lot of other great coaches who had a tremendous amount of success and impacted and influenced people in a lot of ways. I think Coach Bryant actually sustained for a lot longer than I had, a lot of success, did it at different places. And I always judge, coaches by what do their players say when they come back around, even long after they're gone. And I don't think that just being here for 14 years and meeting so many players that played for Coach Bryant, and to hear them tell stories about lessons that they learned and things that they did when they played for him, and how he impacted their life. I would say based on that, he's the greatest coach of all time. And he probably wouldn't be comfortable with that either. But I don't see myself that way at all. And I kind of look at it like you're only as good as your last play in this profession, your last game. So you better keep on keeping on and continue to be successful, so that that's important to me, that we can continue to be successful, not basically what we've accomplished in the past.
Coach, I can't thank you enough for your time and being with us. And this time goes way too fast. Loved hearing all the wisdom. You are a true coaching legend. We're honored that you've been in our presence. We are grateful to Marathon Oil as well, our presenting sponsor of the Bryant Awards, and to all of our sponsors. And I'd like to recognize Hoare Construction, Steve Estes and Sean Lafferty, for already pledging their commitment to the 2022 awards.
Which is amazing. So thank you, everybody. And if you'd like to support the life-saving mission of the American Heart Association and the Bryant Awards campaign, you can do it easily and right now by texting 71777 to Bryant Awards. And the mission of the AHA is really special and near and dear to my heart, as my husband survived heart failure and is a recent and successful recipient of a brand new heart. So I'm sure for many of you out there and your families, this mission is very near and dear to you too. One last note before we sign off, we have coming up our next legendary and fantastic Heart of the Game series. So we will be sending out details soon. Stay tuned, and we can't wait to see you then.